Greetings from the beautiful Oman. We are here with Ford Middle East for the launch of the next generation Ford Everest. And my oh my, have we been having a lot of fun with this car today, and we've been taking it to the test. We've been taking it off-road, on rocks, in water, on sand, and I'm lucky, I'm joined with Andrew, who knows this car better than anyone here. So instead of me explaining the car, Andrew, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us about the product?
Yeah, thanks Charlie.
Nice
Good to be here. Appreciate it. Andrew Gregory, Brand Marketing Manager for Ford Middle East, and I'm here to explain to you a few more of the features about the next generation Everest.
So here she is in all her glory, and I've got to say, Andrew, done a fantastic job on the design. Looks really, really good, and I know it helps. We're in such a beautiful scenic location. But I did notice, because there's some of the ranges that are here, there's a lot of similarities with the front design, almost identical with the Everest. So do you want to just tell us a bit about why they've done this with the design, with the C-clamp headlights, the grille and the horizontal line along the grille?
Absolutely, Charlie. Yeah, I think well recognized. So it does share a lot of design elements, and that's really to emphasize Ford's design DNA, right? And as you've rightly said, the C-clamp headlamp here really shows that off. Not only that, we wanted to make sure the car had a really off-road stance, right? And in order to do that, you've got to maximize those vertical and horizontal elements. So you'll see this bar across here, which emphasizes the width. And then again, down the front here, you've got two functional tow hooks. And additionally, as you go around the edge of the car, we can have a look at these really enlarged, sort of emphasized wheel arches here, which again give it that planted stance.
With a huge amount of ground clearance as well.
That's right.
And it's very much raised above the wheels.
Yeah, it's actually best in class ground clearance.
Okay.
So, you know, you mentioned the wheels here. The limited series you see here get these stunning 21-inch all-season tires.
That's only on the limited,
Only
right?
on the limited, correct. And then the XLT wears 18-inch off-road wheels and tires. The difference is that it's got all-terrain tires, so it's a little bit more capable in the sand, but at the same time, you know, the limited is designed for that on-road smoothness.
Okay.
As we move back towards the rear of the
vehicle. Very oversized side mirrors, right?
At Ford, we're very, very keen on safety, right? So making sure you can see everything. As well as that, you've also got the blind spot information system in the mirrors, so keeps you safe and makes sure you don't forget anything in the blind spot. Just adding to that design you talked about, you've got this line down the side of the vehicle, which again really emphasizes the length of the vehicle. It's a little bit grubby at the moment. Thanks for that.
We've been having quite a bit of fun. Sorry about that, Andrew. We get carried away. We want to put it to the test.
And rightly so. We're really glad to have you drive it as it was meant to be driven.
For sure.
Now, if we move around to the back of the vehicle, you'll see you've got this, again, a C-clamp sort of tail lamp shape here. These are LED tail lamps, and this beautiful full-width Everest graphic, which really emphasizes the width of the vehicle again.
It's interesting you still put the logo there. I've noticed a trend amongst a lot of manufacturers. They'll put the name of the brand, and they'll remove the logo, but it's nice to still see the Ford logo on the back.
Absolutely, absolutely. So then we can take a look inside if you like.
Sure, let's get in. Thank you, sir.
So as you can see, we've already said that it shares a lot of design elements from the Ranger, but I think from, again, the B pillar here, you'll notice quite a difference backwards. If you look in your rearview mirror, you've got two rows in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of space. You could fit a big family in here for sure.
I think the first thing you notice when you get into the driver's seat and you turn the push button start is this massive 12-inch best-in-class portrait screen, and that's really your gateway to the Sync 4 system.
It's very prominent. It's one of the first things I notice when I get into the car. It's a big screen. Also, I've noticed I like the design of the air vents. You've got this sort of honeycomb pattern going on. Again, they're quite oversized, but very practical as well, because it was very hot yesterday, so I sat in the car to cool myself down, and in not long I was cooled down. Another feature that I really like, which has come in handy, is this sucker right here.
That's right, yeah.
Tell us
well
about
spotted.
this. And this is just for our region, right?
That's correct. Middle East only. And this is a AC-fed upper glove box cooler. Now, it's perfect for keeping anything cool on long journeys, right? It's AC-fed, so...
Just to add a bit of proof, that's been sat in there. You can see the condensation from how cold this bottle is. It keeps it cold.
And that's, you know, fed by a dedicated AC unit. And it's a really nice integrated system. You've got a center mounted console with floor vents just down there under your right elbow. You've got roof mounted vents here so that all 3 rows stay cool. And at the front it's a dual AC system. So that really gives you the benefit of being able to set desired and preferred temperatures between the driver and the front passenger. So in my case, my wife's always too cold, I'm always too hot. It works perfectly, you know what I mean?
Typical issue, yeah. And I also noticed there's no lack of natural light because we've got this big panoramic roof, but this is only in the limited edition, correct?
That's correct, both the dual panel moonroof and also, as you can see here, the best-in-class 12-speaker B&O Play system provides tunes for any situation you could possibly want.
We'll give that a little test a little later on, yeah?
Absolutely.
Another thing I noticed from my side, doing a lot of driving in this in all different sorts of terrains from the road, is it feels like a very sort of quiet, isolated cabin. When I'm going at speeds, I don't hear any sort of like whistling or the wind. I feel very isolated. It feels very quiet. You feel isolated from the world outside. And even when doing a lot of the off-roading, you feel that, yeah, no compromise on comfort. And they've obviously done a lot with the, I don't know what the term is, the acoustics to keep the outside sounds out from getting into the car.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Charlie. I think, you know, the Ford engineers have really designed the vehicle, you know, taking into account every tiny detail, right? They've looked at, you know, door seals, window seals, even the brake components, which have been moved to ensure that there's no rattling or unnecessary noise transferred through the cabin. It's a body-on-frame construction, so it rides on rubber bushing isolators underneath. So, you know,
what does that do?
Well, that really absorbs a lot of energy. So if you're going over rough terrain, normally, you know, in other vehicles, that noise is going to be transferred through the cabin. But, you know, the way the vehicle's been designed, all of that energy and in the form of noise is absorbed by the rubber bushing. So it doesn't transfer inside. Now, you hit on acoustics, and I think that's important to mention as well, because the Everest has a really great articulation inside. And what that means is from the 3rd row, you can talk in a normal voice and be heard in the front row. So that sound carries all the way through the cabin. And that's really as a result of the acoustics that have been really, you know, scrutinized on the inside to ensure that, you know, you arrive at your destination rested, you know, refreshed without having to have that sort of long, arduous journey that really saps energy.
So we've been stationary for quite a while. We've talked about the design, we've talked about the interior, we've touched on the safety. I think most importantly, we want to get onto the powertrain and how this thing handles off-road as well as the suspension. Shall we hit the road?
Let's do it.
Right as rain, ready for Roger. All right, so we are behind the wheel of the Ford Everest Limited. So this sits at the top of the range. And we are currently in some very beautiful terrain and it's extremely rocky. And I can tell you now, we were driving through this area a lot faster and a lot harsher, which I can't do now because these GoPros are going to fall off if I do that. So we won't go too crazy. But Andrew, tell us, how does this off-road system work? You know, what's the setup? How is it so durable on this terrain? How does it sort of soak up the bumps so well?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing to note is really the fact that it's got a 2-speed electronic transfer case, which means that it can shift into 4x2, 4x4 at the touch of a button. There's no need to stop and change gears or change in neutral. Yeah, absolutely. Second thing to note is you've got 6 enhanced selectable drive modes, right? The one we're using at the moment is the mud and ruts mode.
Yeah.
Each of these drive modes is specifically configured to manage traction control, ABS, and all the systems within the car. So this specific one is actually giving us more traction when the stuff gets soft, and then also ensures that we have the maximum continuity over some of the more awkward areas.
And it sort of like self-adjusts.
Absolutely.
As you're driving.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I noticed as well, earlier when I was driving in the sand, I switched it onto sand. I didn't need to press the 4. It automatically goes into 4 high, right?
That's absolutely right, yeah. Automatically goes into 4 high. The locking differential, which is standard on all series, is enabled. And additionally, you've got the traction control and the ESC, electronic stability control are switched off. So you really have the, you know, the opportunity to...
1 second, let's
so I think this is probably going to be a bit stuck. I get stuck in here. This is a bit...
Really?
Yeah. Could be real deep.
All right, so we're currently going through some water. So Andrew, how does it handle in the water so well? It's like I'm driving in a lake, but no problems driving this thing. It moves, it's splendid.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, testament to the enhanced drive modes, right? It's putting the power where it needs to be. Again, you've got the 2.3 litre 4-cylinder EcoBoost engine that powers this vehicle. Is really amazing. It puts out 296 horsepower, which is best in class. It also puts out a best in class 420 newton meters of torque, which is unheard of, and certainly more than any other competitor V6 which is amazing for a four-cylinder engine. Not only that, the four-cylinder engine gives you the best-in-class fuel economy of 11.9 kilometers per litre. So you really get the best of both worlds, more power and saving money at the same time.
And is it drinking a lot more fuel when it's in the four-wheel drive mode, or how does that operate on fuel efficiency?
Absolutely is, yeah. The drive modes are really, ensure that you stay in the power band in the right gear for the longest amount of time to give you maximum traction and get you through it, any kind of terrain. So they really, fuel economy in these sorts of scenarios really takes a back seat to, maximizing capability.
So yeah, I have to say, whilst driving it, we're going over some seriously rocky terrain, and I'm not going all out because, as I say, I don't want the camera equipment to fall off, because I was really throwing this thing around earlier. But whilst you can probably see the camera shaking, I'm comfortable. Like I'm really comfortable right now, and I can feel how the car is like adjusting itself in the suspension system. It's soaking up the bumps, and I feel perfectly seated in place.
Yeah, I think, we've already spoken about the body on frame construction, the rubberized bushing, the way the car sort of transfers noise or absorbs that noise to stop it transferring. But one thing we haven't spoken about is really the rear suspension on the vehicle, which I think, adds that extra edge. It's a beam axle with a Watts link rear suspension and rides on coil springs. So that's different from the Ranger, because the Ranger's got those leaf springs. And what it means is it actually articulates directly up and down instead of slightly on an angle. That really means that you've got a 50-50 weight distribution side to side, and it also means that at any point, you're maximizing the traction by putting the power to the ground.
All right. So lastly, I want to sort of say about the power of this car. So I mean, really responsive. Hasn't got crazy amounts of power, but it's got plenty of power. I feel like I don't need more power. So if I'm correct in saying, under the hood, we've got a 2.3 litre turbocharged four-cylinder. Do you want to tell us a bit more about the engine and the powertrain of the car?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, as you rightly mentioned, 2.3 four-cylinder. It's what we call the EcoBoost, which essentially means that the turbocharger is located in the manifold, which reduces turbo lag. It's really handy, obviously, ensuring you get maximum power delivery. But at the same time, it delivers 296 horsepower, which is best in class, right? And as you said, it's not crazy amounts of power, but it's more than what you need.
More than what you need. And even when I'm off-road, when I'm on the road, if I need to overtake, the power's there if I need it.
And not only that, you've got a best-in-class 420 newton meters of torque. Now, that power and torque number from a four-cylinder engine is better than any of our competitors' V6 powertrains. Not only that, you've also got a best-in-class fuel economy of 11.9 kilometers per litre. So it's really the best of both worlds. You get more power, more torque, and easier on the wallet.
Some serious engineering.
Additionally, you've got mated to the 10-speed select-shift automatic transmission, which again aids that fuel economy, but also ensures that the vehicle stays in the right gear, works with those different drive modes, and really delivers the power when you need it.
I've got to say again, I know I've already said this, but this car, I don't think, and I've driven a lot of cars off-road, I have never thrown a car around as much as I've thrown this car around. So it's so impressive to see how well you throw this car around in water, in sand, on pebbles, on rocks. It handles so well. But it's sort of sad to think that most of the people that buy this car, they're not going to be doing half of the things that we've been doing today.
No, absolutely not.
And there you have it, the next generation Ford Everest. This has been a lot of fun, and there's been no one better on this whole site than you, Andrew, to show me around this car. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. If you like this video, like it, subscribe, and share it to your friends. Enjoy.